Talk to me about the development that we're seeing with regards to Neom. I think you would have to be living under a rock, so to speak, to have not heard about Neom yet. So where do we stand in the construction of what is arguably one of the most important projects under Vision 2030?
Thank you very much, Dan, and thanks for the FII for inviting me to be here. Actually, this is a very special place for Neom. This is where it was announced 7 years ago by His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince and Chairman of Neom. It started in 2017 with the announcement, progressed into developing sector strategies and developing the master plan of Neom. And where we are now, we have very good visibility and certainty as to how Neom is going to evolve and develop across the various master plans, but more importantly, across the sector strategies. Although people see and relate to the physical master plan of Neom and the infrastructure of Neom and the real estate of Neom, but Neom is not a real estate development project. Real estate is a big part of it. Neom is an economy building exercise. And as a result, these 15 sectors that have been identified and developed are going to be the economic engines of Neom. When we talk about the region, when we talk about building employment, generating employment, creating GDP, diversifying the economy, being the key pillar of Vision 2030, it doesn't work. It doesn't rely on the physical infrastructure only. So the physical infrastructure, I'd like to call it, is only the hardware. What differentiates Neom is really the software, the industries and the technologies that are going to be building on top of that. We are starting where other people left off. We are reinventing the categories of the various sectors and technologies to develop what is the city of the futures, which is really where the name comes from. We celebrated an important milestone last week with the opening event of Sindala, the first region to come into Neom, one of many to come. Certainly not the biggest, actually one of the smaller ones. So I always call this the appetizer as to what else is coming. The ambition of Neom is not, although it's physically located in the kingdom, is to transcend the kingdom's borders and redefine livability through some of the innovative livability models that we are creating, certainly in the line. Redefine business with a globally competitive regulatory infrastructure that we are building to attract global talent and global capital. And redefine conservation. 95% of Neom, which is a very big region, 26,000 square kilometers, 95% of which is put aside as a nature reserve. The end state of Neom will be 100% renewable powered through wind as well as solar, and ultimately redefining how human and nature can coexist without one compromising the other. So these are the ideas and the DNA that is coming out of it beyond the real estate that is much more visible and other people see.
Can I just follow up with a question on the financing of this? Obviously, there's been a lot of headlines about timelines being pushed back, budgets also being pushed back. Will you be able to sustain the investment costs required to finish the project in its original form?
I think we are now actually at a very interesting inflection point in Neom's journey. I mean, we moved from it being a project to it becoming a proper company with its own balance sheet and its own capital structure. And with that comes a maturity of the funding sources. A significant part of Neom is being funded by the government through PIF as our only shareholder, as well majority PIF, and as well as the Ministry of Finance. But what that does is that it invests in the infrastructure using the government's capital and de-risks the project for the private sector to come in. So what we've seen recently over the last 18 to 24 months, significant amount of private sector capital coming in, more than 60 billion riyals of private sector commitments, more than 30 billion riyals of debt funding across Neom and the various projects, and more to come. With that, with these commercial assets becoming a lot more visible, we're seeing very good appetite from the private sector to co-fund and co-invest with us in the journey. This will not work with the government funding alone, and there was never the intention. But the intention has always been for the government to kickstart it and invest significantly in the infrastructure for the private sector to come in.